You know how I said in the first episode that the timeline of events just doesn't make sense? Well, now I'm more than convinced that the fight with Magnus in the first episode is just non-canon now. The first part is Frenemies. We start with A terrorizing people with his Mantanoid until Magnus with the darkest weapon battles him in a clearly scripted battle. This is when we are introduced to this reboot's version of Shun Kazami, voiced by Takun Kim. And yeah, if his name Shun Kazami sounds familiar, that is because it's the name of a character from the Legacy series. So, how does the reboot handle a new version of Shun Kazami? Well, in the original Legacy series, Shun was a Ventus brawler who was one of the main inventors of the Bakugan game and being the #1 brawler until the rise of Masquerade. Shun was complex because after his mother passed away, he stopped Bakugan brawling because he was forced to live up to the unreasonable expectations of his family's lineage as a ninja. Here in the reboot, just a crazy rich Asian kid. The reboot version of Shun is completely different than the original. Instead of being a Ventus brawler, he uses Aquos. Instead of being a ninja, he's a smart kid. Instead of being cool, calm, and cold, he's shy, scared, and kinda wimpy, only stepping up when he has no choice. But here's the thing. I don't see this as a bad thing. Because this is a reboot of the previous Bakugan, it would mean hitting the hard reset and having them be made into different characters. It's very clear they did not want another Ninja Shun or another Masquerade or another bitchy waifu Runo, otherwise you'd be making the same series. Giving characters a more of a refresher while still referencing the original, it's okay as long as you can do something different or add something we haven't seen before. Just because this Shun Kazami has the same name and doesn't automatically make him the same character. I mean, sure, if you think about Shun Kazami, you're probably going to think about Mr. Hotshot himself with the cool hair, but when they take a character and try to reimagine it into something else for a newer audience to identify with and enjoy, I think that is really admirable instead of clinging on to the nostalgia of watchers of the original series. But the question is this version of Shun Kazami good? Well, let's watch the rest of this and see what we think.
I am Shun Kazami. I am a Bakugan Brawler too.
Oh, that line read sounded awkward. We might be in trouble. So the awesome ones show up and Shun doesn't ever do anything. Webum smacks Mantanoid in the head and makes A run away. Okay, now here comes my biggest gripe with this series, the timeline. After A runs, the awesome ones meet Shun and Magnus. The thing is, they don't immediately recognize Magnus from his hair, the Bakugan he was using, or even his name. For a guy who is undercover, he doesn't even use a fake name?
My name is Magnus. It's Magnus, trust me. It's a name you're never going to forget.
Yeah, for a guy that attacked Dan and the Awesome Ones and made a very big impact in the first episode, Dan and them act like idiots and don't realize it's the same Magnus. Yeah, this episode really convinces me that the first battle with Magnus was just absolutely non-canon, sticking the giant middle finger to the viewers. Like, did they expect us not to remember that, especially when you stick it into very important exposition to expand and establish the universe of the Bakugan reboot? It's no wonder Koda turned this off after 20 episodes. Y'all can't even keep your own stories straight!
I'm so confused!
So Dan proposes that Shun and Magnus both take tests to try out for the positions of the Awesome Ones, like swimming and eating hot dogs, in a gag I'm pretty sure they took from Family Guy. But what I like about showing this scene, while it can be a little goofy or uninteresting, it really projects the difference between Magnus and Shun. While Magnus is aggressive and impatient, questioning everything that Dan says, Shun is kind, willing to even help Magnus, and does whatever is asked of him. The subtle nature of both of them participating demonstrates why the Awesome Ones will pick the one that they will pick at the end without having to be so blatantly obvious. And while Magnus goes crazy, obsessing over beating up Shun, he doesn't gravitate that a person who wins is not what they are looking for. And then we get these crazy Magnus scenes as well. These are awkwardly funny, almost like Magnus is not even trying to hide being evil anymore. Magnus' wild rampage causes a forest fire, and Shun, instead of fighting Magnus, he has Hydorus save them from a burning tree, and Magnus takes advantage of the distraction to win.
You're the newest member of the Awesome Ones.
I am?
I'm the one who won!
Nice fake out, I guess. But Magnus disappears, and failing to infiltrate the Awesome Ones, he declares he will destroy them in a very badass conclusion to this part.
I will crush the Awesome Ones.
Julius Cho is awesome. We continue with Stratosphere, where we see a kid, voiced by Devin Mack, playing with the bear Bakugan when this guy, Strata, controls it and captures it. Strata, voiced by Dan Petrunajevic, is a Bakugan hunter. You totally took that idea all the way to the arm gun from Pokemon Hunter J. But I gotta say, the way they made Strata's imposing figure as well as his voice makes him kinda intimidating.
I want us to be friends, little bear.
Meanwhile, the Awesome Ones were shooting videos, but Shun is hiding himself for some reason when the kid that owns Bear comes crying for help. In their search for Bear, they encounter the guy that was creepily stalking the Awesome Ones and even sent the catastrophic satellite falling down to the city.
There will be others who come from out of nowhere, trying to get their hands on your Bakugan.
Wait, aren't you supposed to be the bad guy like how the previous episodes have been portraying you as? But before they can figure out who he is, Bear attacks and nearly kills Dan. They figure out that Strata is controlling Bear, and the Awesome Ones fight to try and get Bear out of Strata's control. I really like how Strata jumps on Trunks' back, knowing Trunks' arms are too small to reach him. But this fight does have sort of a problem. It's just not interesting. Like, they are trying to portray a dilemma where Bobby doesn't want them to hurt Bear, but it's just boring. Lightning jumps and destroys Strata's device and chases him off, and Bear returns him to his normal self. And Lightning finds Strata at the same building that Magnus and A met up at and runs to close the episode. Wait, that's it? That's not even that big of a cliffhanger. We don't know what kind of impact that this reveal has. We knew from the beginning that Magnus, A, China Right, and Strata are in cahoots. Is this supposed to implicate Strata as working for someone? I don't know. So that was Battle Planet Episode 5. Let me know what your rating of the show was in the comments down below. This episode, while we got the introduction of Shun Kazami, there really is nothing all that interesting that happens. I really like what they did to introduce Shun's character, portraying his allegiance as something he earned rather than being accepted right away, as well as keeping his growth slow and steady as we move further into the series. But the boring presentation that they did for the Strata episode really boggles this episode down in my opinion. How is it possible that you made something so long but still felt short? I wasn't expecting anything great, flashy, or dramatic or anything, but at the very least, you should have made up a story that could have been a lot more better in Stratosphere, like have Shun demonstrate his abilities as a person more or establish more of his ability to really get us more invested into his character, because it seemed like Shun had no reason to be in the Strata part in the first place, because he didn't do anything. They really should have kept the Strata part just Dan, Winton, Leah, and Lightning, and made it the first part and then have the Shun intro be the second part to close out the episode. That's really all I got. So this episode gets a Baku Downer. Thank you for watching this review of Bakugan Battle Planet. Be sure to press the like button and give us a subscribe for more awesome Bakugan content. I've been Haru Ren, and thank God for Rapid Fire. Bye!